Okay, I want to start off by saying that if you don't know how to draw on digitally draw on your iPad, you can probably find vector images online, or you can find images that you can turn to vector images or SVGs. That's what I'm using here. And I usually do the outline for the key fob and the image as two different files. And it's just what works best for me. So first of all, you see me here sizing it down and making sure that it's the right shape. It kind of, it comes into the program kind of wonky, so you just have to get everything right. And I will be tilting this once I'm done. I want it at an angle because I can just make it a little bigger that way. And this right here, doing the outline for the image, it was kind of trial and error for me. And the first thing that I did was make it a running stitch, and for some reason that doubles it. And for some people who are a little more experienced with the software, it may be easier for you to do it a different way. This is what is working for me, so this is how I do it. And you see here, I'm gonna do that outline, and then I'm gonna get rid of the image that's kind of that thick image there. Well, first I'm gonna duplicate it and see, I don't know what all that is, but I will delete these elements, and then I'll just have the two outlines, one on the top and one on the bottom, so that I have that stitched outline so that I know where to place it in the hoop. And then the last one will be the one that'll stitch around the two layers of vinyl when I'm done with the project. So you see, it's a lot of playing around with it and figuring out what works for me. But this did work for me, and it actually has a great end result. So one of the important things that I learned while I'm learning to use this PE design software is that sewing order is important. I have actually bought embroidery files and didn't understand why there were so many crisscrosses of the fabric, the strings, and had some that were so messy. I mean, it's just absolute disaster to have to cut the strings when you get it off the hoop. So I'm trying to make sure that my sewing order is right, and the way I do that is I keep playing around with I'll play back the stitching so that I can see how it's going to sew. And I move things around in the order that I need them. And each layer, the color here really doesn't matter as long as it's understood that every element has to be a different color so that you can change the sewing order. Like the name Renee has to be its own color, the heart has to be its own color, the first outline has to be its own color, the last outline has to be its own color, and then that way everything sews in the order that it should. Also, the direction, I like for the different elements to be going in different directions, with the exception obviously of the running stitch for the outline stitching. And I like for the name stitching to be 180 degrees, like straight across, because that seems to work best for these small elements. That's the other thing that I learned that you have to keep in mind. The first one of these I did was the Maddie name that I did, and I did a little butterfly, and I had that little intricate butterfly that I drew a few years ago that has the swirls and things in the middle, and I thought that would be so pretty with that, but it was so small that it was just chewing up that vinyl. So if you want to make things like this, like key fobs, you really have to keep that in mind, like how small are your elements going to be and how much can your machine handle it. At the moment, I only have a machine that takes a 4x4 hoop, so that's what I'm designing my stuff for. If you have a larger hoop, that's awesome. Then you can make larger designs, obviously. Another thing I've noticed while learning embroidery is how sensitive the machine is to its settings and the equipment you use with it. My friend Lisa told me to try a 14 needle, and I was using, I can't remember, it's the one that's typically used with the embroidery needle, and it skips my mind right now. But I've noticed a difference. I ordered a huge pack of size 14 needles, and they do work a lot better. I don't have as much breakage. I don't have as many problems. I noticed the other needle I was using would pull this vinyl up, if you know what I mean. It would just pick at it. And the 14 needle works so much better. The settings are important. With this vinyl, you get something different every time, especially if you buy it online. If you buy it on Amazon, you're going to get really thin pieces with really thick pieces with big plush backs, and some of them are bare. They don't have any plush on the back. So you see here, I'm stretching it out and making sure that this is after I've selected all of them so that I can move everything at once. I'm going to make it the size I need it and then turn it at an angle so that it's a little bigger when I actually go to stitch it out. And this is super small. If you have one with a 4x4 hoop, you know that doing it this way is going to be much better, because if you do it straight across, you're going to get a really tiny little key fob there. So the next thing I do is I have a removable USB drive, and that's where I save all of my embroidery stuff. So now we're going to make it, and we're going to see how it turns out. hope y'all enjoyed this, and if you want to see more, like, share, and subscribe. I'll be back maybe every week in the future, but for now, it's just learning as I go and trying to master this craft. And when I learn something new, I like to post videos of it. I notice with this particular thing, especially the PE design, there is not a lot of very specific learning materials on YouTube or anywhere else. That I had to learn some of these elements from my friend Lisa, and then I put it together and I started figuring things out. But I'd like to post tutorials where I can show you what I learned, and I definitely will be doing that. I hope y'all enjoyed, so peace y'all. Bye bye.